There's a little known fact coming up that there's going to be some more planetary alignments. And I'm not one of those person that gets into that too much. But I have a little suspicion that there might be something to it. Not from the conspiracy type thing or the drama angle, but sometimes I think, oh, maybe the forces of nature, like more planets lining up in some fashion, might cause an effect on the Earth, whereas the molten core of the Earth is pulled in a certain direction or something, that it would cause a Earth change, an earthquake or something. And we did see that with in Japan. I think something like that happened, but I think that was with the moon. The moon was actually, they call it the lunar perigee. The moon was actually closer to the Earth. Now that makes a lot more sense to me than a planet, because a planet is so damn far away. But the moon has effects on the tides. That's what caused the tides to go in and out. Without the moon, there'd be no life on Earth. I mean, really, it's kind of like you take it for granted. It's up there, and nobody worries about it because it's been there like a really, really long time. And I know there's a lot of theories about that too. It's got aliens up there, and I heard all that stuff. I kind of look at a lot of different things as a curiosity. But there is a planetary alignment coming up here, April 21st to April 24th, thereabout. In other words, in a few days, basically. And it's supposed to possibly trigger earthquakes. Now, it's interesting. I saw the major media had a little story about the Ring of Fire again. And I know there's a lot of theories out there. But I always kind of look at this as a casual curiosity. I think there might be something to it, in other words. I don't totally discount it as total conspiracy hogwash, because many times science thought something was hogwash and it turned out to be true. And we see this a lot in medicine, for instance, too. They hate alternative medicine, but I think there's a financial angle behind that. I don't know what the financial angle would be behind suppressing some knowledge that planetary alignments may cause a problem on Earth, but other than the fact that sometimes scientists get into almost like a religious realm where they have fundamentalist type scientists that adhere to doctrine and they don't deviate from it, and they all pretty much refer to each other. They don't like to think outside the box sometimes. So a lot of times I examine things casually, just as a curiosity. What the heck does this mean? What the planets are going to align? So the three planets that are going to line up is going to be Earth, Mercury, and Uranus. The one that's they're all really far away. Uranus is really far away, and Mercury's the closest planet to the sun, and it's very small. So I don't know how that could do anything. And my common sense says it's not going to do a damn thing. But you never know. You never know, right? So does that mean you should short silver on April 21st? I'm not. But it's an interesting curiosity. And sometimes, I think the ancients actually did know some stuff. I think there's something to this Mayan calendar. And, they call it the long count. And I think that there may be some things in 2012 that may play out that are going to be spectacular. But I would like to caution people to kind of remain calm, because I see how these stories get out of hand. If you look at H.G. Wells in the 1930s, when he put that little skit on the radio about the Martians coming from outer space, there's people jumping off of roofs. And, you think people were stupid back then? No, they weren't stupid. I think people today are probably even worse, with all this stuff that goes on. They really get to some crazy tangents, but there might be something coming up this year. I don't know about this deal as far as April 21st to 24th where these three planets line up. I don't think anything's going to come about with that. When there's a lunar perigee, I think there's a scientific reason for that. The moon could possibly have a big effect on the molten core inside the Earth if it gets extra close to the Earth. That might be legit. That seemed to actually play out a couple times. And I don't think that's too much of a conspiracy theory at all. I think there's some science in there. But as far as the planets, I'm not too sure. But, Hollywood, They're on the bandwagon big time, capitalizing on the hysteria. Columbia Pictures will release 2012 this fall, a thriller starring John Cusack as the researcher trying to survive various global catastrophes. It's directed by Roland Emmerich, a man who, after reading the reviews for his wretched last film, 10,000 BC, knows a thing or two about destruction. Anyway, but you know, it goes on to talk in this article. This is actually refuting a lot of the, making fun of a lot of the 2012 theory. He goes, the Earth's poles have reversed many times throughout the planet's history, but the process doesn't happen overnight. But you know, I beg to differ. I read researches where they had some radical weather changes, and that is why there were prehistoric large mammals that were frozen in place with still tropical grasses being digested in their stomach. So they went from tropical to Iceland inside of days. So something did happen many millions of years ago. And, you know, the one thing that's on our side is that it doesn't happen too often. So even if you're talking 1,000 years, that's like a second, you know. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen 2012. But a little common sense, you know. This Planet X theory, I think this is garbage, to tell you the truth. But you know what I put a lot of credibility in? Not so much the oracles, the Bible code, or maybe the Hopi tradition might have a little something. I might have a little faith in that. But where I put a lot of faith into is that the observations of the modern day Eskimo is observing many changes that are going on, where the sun is setting, the way the winds are blowing. And these are people that are out in the weather all the time hunting, and they use the sun and the stars and the wind direction to find their way around. They don't use GPS. They use the old methods, and they're very well attuned to these signs. And if you look, the Eskimos are saying things are radically different, and they've been changing over a slow period of time, over some years, but they've changed drastically in the last 15 years or so. Drastically, and they're changing faster and faster. With the position of the sunsets, the amount of daylight there is for hunting, with the position of the stars, and the prevailing winds. It's totally different. So like the drifts are different and everything else like that. So I think there's some validity to this, that there is some serious earth changes going on. But I don't know about this thing about for April 21st to 24th about 3 planets aligning, Mercury, Earth, and Uranus, that are supposed to trigger earthquakes. I don't quite buy into that. I think that's pretty far out there. Like, you know, both those planets are very far away, and Mercury's a very tiny planet, so I don't see how that would have much effect on the Earth. Just using a little common sense, just fly by the redneck sense. How's that? You know, just put it that way. But you know, doesn't seem like it would be. You know, but I think the Eskimos' observations are very valid, and it's something that should be paid attention to. So there could be something to this 2012 theory, and something else that's a scientific fact. The magnetic north has been accelerating. Its movement has been going faster and faster every year to true north. And you know, the theory is that when it reaches true north, or gets near true north, close enough, the poles are going to flip. And what the hell does that mean? I don't know. But it could mean something weather-wise too. You know, we noticed that some airports had to have changed some markers and stuff like that. So we know that's a scientific fact. But I wouldn't want to over-dramatize it. But then again, I wouldn't want to totally ignore it either. Sometimes conventional science is not really that correct, and sometimes the old science from the ancients is correct. But like I said, you know, this is an article that pretty much refutes everything to do with 2012. But I don't really totally agree with that. I think there may be something coming up this year. There might be something. I don't buy what's going to come up that's being rumored to come up here in April 21st to 24th. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I don't know. But some planets are supposed to line up and cause a problem. But planets seem to always line up, and they don't necessarily cause a problem. So I could put it that way. But something about something coming up with Earth changes. I think that's legit, and as I stated before, I think a lot of that is from the observations of the Eskimos. You know, some people would, or scientists would say, maybe they don't know, they're not trained. Well, you know what? They've been doing this for like eons. That's all they do. You know, just because they don't have initials after their name, it doesn't mean they can't observe the stars, the position of the sun, the snow drifts, the snow tongues as they call them, or how many hours of daylight are left, and different things like this. So that's all they do. That's their, if they don't do that right, they don't make it back to camp, or they don't make it to the hunting ground, so they know what the hell they're doing. So if they say stuff's changing, I believe them, okay? And I'll put it down real simple like that. So I think there are some Earth changes coming up, so maybe something might be in store for 2012. Now, what does that mean to your 401k? They mentioned that over here. I don't know. But that's another thing about buying physical coins, because I am in a physical coin camp. I'm just not all in it, because I don't believe in putting 100% into anything, one thing, even if it seems like a good idea. But 2012 might prove to be an interesting year. Planets are going to be lining up. Who knows, right?